get into SpaceX, which is an aerospace manufacturer and space transport services company that Elon Musk founded. Let's see. It all started in 2001 when he conceived this idea of Mars Oasis because he was disappointed that NASA had zero plans for a manned Mars mission. He took it as a sign that America had lost its will to explore space, and so he devised this plan to make the public excited about space again and spark innovation and hopefully secure NASA the funds that they needed to do some like more stuff that was like equivalent to the excitement that they got for the moon landings. And so, let's see. He wanted to send a small glass enclosed greenhouse to the surface of Mars with seeds embedded in dehydrated nutrient gels that would activate when the lander touched down, sending back images and data as the cargo grew and died on the planet's surface. And he would say like it would reveal a lot about the viability of transporting life to Mars and sustaining it there. And then in October 2001, he traveled to Moscow to buy refurbished intercontinental ballistic missiles, which are called ICBMs. And he wasn't taken seriously by the Russians at all. They just thought he was this silly little American boy that had dreams probably way too big for his own good. And so he was even spat on by like Russian officials. Like it was pretty dirty. And then in February 2002, he returned back to Russia to look for 3 ICBMs. And he was offered one rocket for $8 million, which he rejected. And instead, he decided to start a company that would build affordable rockets called SpaceX in May 2002. Sorry. This wisdom teeth medicine is making my brain so drowsy, so I'm sorry if I seem like I'm in a trance.
One of the crazy things is, like, the main reason he founded SpaceX, as you kind of just said, was that he realized that the market price for rockets was entirely too high. Like, who even knows what the market price for rockets are? Like, that's so crazy. And he's like, no, that's too high, we have a need to fix that. So he wanted to make more affordable rockets, and then eventually his goal was for, like, people to be able to afford rockets and trips to outer space for the same price as it would cost to, like, buy you a house. So, like, you can move to Mars for the same price as buying a mortgage on your home, which is insane. That's his goal, at least. That's not doable now, obviously.
So, okay. Let me not get too ahead of myself. So some of the stuff that SpaceX has made. So Falcon 9 is a reusable 2-stage rocket designed for the reliable and safe transport of people and payloads into Earth orbit and beyond. It's the world's first orbital class reusable rocket, and the reusability allows SpaceX to refly the most expensive parts of the rocket, which in turn drives down the cost of space access. So basically, like, they're learning how to reuse parts of the rocket so that way they don't have to spend billions or millions of dollars for every launch.
Yeah.
Which I guess in the past NASA just has completely rebuilt everything. Which, like, you don't really think about those things, but when it's compared, like, SpaceX is obviously so much more innovative. In 2018, SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy, and this mission carried a Tesla Roadster as a dummy payload. So, like, a Tesla car was in this rocket. And it's the most powerful operational rocket in the world by a factor of 2, with the ability to lift into orbit nearly 64 metric tons. It can lift more than twice the payload of the next closest operational vehicle, which is the Delta IV Heavy. Is that the right Roman numeral?
Yes.
Okay. Falcon Heavy is composed of 3 Falcon 9 engine cores. Okay, this is getting into like the engine stuff, and let's just say SpaceX knows what they're doing. Okay, so they have like all these different things that they've built, and let me go back. There's this quote from Elon Musk. He said, "It's the first time in 4.5 billion years that we are at a level of technology where we have the ability to reach Mars. I will go if I can be assured that SpaceX would go on without me. I've said I want to die on Mars, just not on impact." And, after 3 failed launches, SpaceX succeeded in launching the Falcon 1 in 2008. It was the first private liquid fuel rocket to reach Earth orbit, and later that year, SpaceX received a $1.6 billion commercial resupply services program contract for 12 flights of its Falcon 9 rocket to the ISS, replacing the space shuttle after its 2011 retirement. So, he's getting his stuff out there. He's putting stuff into space on a pretty regular basis these days. There's also something called the Dear Moon Project, which he proposed in 2018, and it's this lunar circumnavigation mission that they want to do in 2023. And this guy, I don't know how to say his name, he's a Japanese entrepreneur, Yusaku Maezawa. He purchased all the seats aboard the rocket, which is I think 7 or 8 people that can go, and he's wishing to give as many talented individuals as possible the opportunity to go, and they're all currently going through boot camp right now, I guess, or screening processes, because I went to the Dear Moon Project website and it said applications were closed, and they had a timeline of the screenings and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's in progress.
And that's the coolest thing about this. I feel a lot of things we talk about are things of the past, whereas this is something of the present. This is something that's actually happening right now. So all this SpaceX stuff, he thinks we're going to be 100% on Mars by 2024. That's less than 3 years from now.
I know. It's so crazy. And I feel so scared at the same time, because there's so much science I feel that needs to be done on how humans are going to react to being in space.
I agree. But I think this is the first step to it. I don't think he plans on just jumping everybody up there and saying let's live.
I know.
But still
I know.
This is also going slightly off the topic, but all these astrophysicists say that the world is going to end, and the only way that we can survive or continue the human species is if we can inhabit another planet.
Yeah, because eventually our planet is going to die out. Planets die. It's inevitable, but is the human race going to live? Or were we meant to die with Earth? That's the scary part.
So the only option is to honestly look into space travel, and it feels like our government doesn't really care about that right now. And so, Musk is taking it in his own hands to really start that process.
And also something interesting about his whole SpaceX thing is with his Starship and something called Super Heavy, which I guess is another rocket. Most international long-distance trips would be completed in 30 minutes or less. In addition to vastly increased speed, one great benefit to traveling in space outside of Earth's atmosphere is the lack of friction, as well as turbulence and weather. And so he's basically saying in the future, instead of hopping on a plane, you can go around the world in 30 minutes with access to anywhere.
Imagine the possibilities that opens up to.
That is so crazy. And when you go to SpaceX.com, I feel in the future there's this section where you can just go on a little orbit around Earth just to see it, and plan to go over your hometown, or go see anything you want to see. It's so freaking cool. Imagine your 50th birthday, your kid gets you a ticket to go orbit the Earth.
Literally. But imagine if this becomes so every day. We probably won't see this in our lifetimes, but so normal that we could be hey, you want to go to Paris and then get lunch later, and we hop in a rocket and we're 30 minutes we're in Paris eating lunch, and we're back in time 3 hours later.
If only we all had our own little personal little rocket jet.
Also, going slightly off topic here again, have you heard about that, like, they want to build that underground high-speed railroad to where you can get to, like, anywhere in the United States in, like, less than 30 minutes?
We're gonna get to something like that. We're gonna get to something like that, because he has something like that.
Does he really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not even realize that. Okay, let's continue
Something
then.
like that. Okay. Let me see if I have any other interesting stuff about SpaceX.
We can talk about the Starlink satellites unless you already have something else in there.
What do you have on it? Because it's hard to comprehend for me, because it's just a lot of...
So the main like premise behind Starlink, and I could be wrong, so somebody correct me, but this is what I gather from it, is he's launched these satellites recently, like while everybody's been in lockdown, he's been working on this, and he launched these satellites. And basically what they do is they provide internet through satellite, which isn't a thing that has been done before, really. So all these other nations now have access to satellite, and it's at speeds of like 50 to 100 megabits per second, which we just upgraded to like a lot better gaming Wi-Fi, but before that we had 100 megabits internet. So like that's like pretty decent speeds, and they're able to cover like huge vast areas, because you know like internet right now, it's like all through wires underground. It doesn't like come off of satellites the way it does with SpaceLink. And I mean the cool thing about that is that's like so freaking profitable. Like he could sell internet to anybody basically that's covered by those satellites.
Yeah, and it said on April 7th, SpaceX launched 60 Starlink satellites from the Space Launch Complex at Cape Canaveral in Florida. And it was the 7th launched and landing of the Falcon 9 first stage booster, which previously launched NASA astronauts Bob Becken and Doug Hurley into the ISS. That's cool. And what's interesting is like in the past, like space exploration used to be the focus of like the rivalry between countries like the US versus Russia and all that. But now it's becoming a rivalry between billionaires like Musk and Jeff Bezos, apparently. I did not know that he had a Blue Origin space company. I've never heard of
I
that.
haven't either.
And I wanted to look into it, but then I was like, doesn't matter because I've never heard of it.
No, his employees are having to pee in bottles right now anyway, so I'm joking. Have you even seen that though?
No, I don't really keep up with Jeff Bezos.
There's a whole conspiracy with him right now that his employees are having to, like, so basically they make money off of how efficient they're working, and like when they're working in these factories, they wear these headsets that say like, drive to this place in the factory, grab blah blah blah, bring it to this place. And they get like raises and stuff based off of how efficient, how fast they do it. So they really don't have time for bathroom breaks. And this is all alleged, like we don't know if this is 100% true, but this is what's the conspiracy is going on right now. So they bring bottles with them, and they just like pee into the bottles as they're working. Now
that sucks for girls.
I didn't even think about that. Oh,
like, it's only the guys that could just like whip it out and pee in a bottle.
Well, it's like a huge controversy right now, and it's all over TikTok. I can't believe you haven't seen it, but
I haven't really been on TikTok. I've been just like out of it the last few days.
Alright.
But yeah.
Yeah, these billionaires are competing against each other now for who's gonna... I don't know, that's crazy.
Yeah, okay.